If you're worried about the world we're leaving to our children, well then it looks like your algorithm brought you to the right place. Welcome. I'm the mom behind the mask. Today I want to present to you a moral or ethical dilemma. Say you have a friend or family member who is practically on their deathbed, who does not have a good prognosis from a doctor, only has a short time to live. They're in tremendous pain and agony, and they ask you to take their life. They ask you to pull the plug. What do you do? Some of you may say that you would do it. You would put them out of their misery, that you are more or less doing them a favor. While others may say, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I'm not playing God. I'm not choosing when or how someone's life ends. And for me, truthfully, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. And I think both answers could be correct, just depending on what you believe. And I don't think either answer is innately wrong.
What if it's your child? I'll let that one sit for a moment. What if it's just your friend who suffers from depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues? Maybe they're stuck in a wheelchair. Maybe they have debilitating back pain, and they come to you and say, "Help me end my life." Do you do it? I know my answer. It becomes a lot more clear when you take away the life-threatening illness, that assurance that this person's going to die anyway. Of course not. I'm not going to do that. But that's not the case for most Canadians. Well, I won't say most, but a large portion of Canadians believe that there should be no restrictions on who can legally end their life at the assistance and the facilitation of the Canadian government, who will basically do it for you. Yes, there's a program in Canada called MAiD, which stands for Medical Assistance in Dying. And before I get into it, I want to say, again, I am sick. So if you stick around while listening to my voice like this, I greatly appreciate it. I can't seem to get rid of this cold that I keep getting. I get a summer cold every year, but this one's just sticking around. But anyway, MAiD is a program that started around a decade ago. And while it was controversial, it was more accepted because it was more like the first scenario we discussed. Elderly patients, people with no cure who were inevitably going to pass away. They could opt into this program, get their affairs in order, say their goodbyes, and leave this earth peacefully on their own terms. And while some may not agree with that, it is more accepted than what Canada is doing now, which is over the past decade, they have slowly but surely broadened the scope of who is eligible for this program. Now, children are able to choose to end their life. People who do not have a life-threatening illness can choose to end their life. People who have mental health disorders can choose to end their life. And even poor and homeless people can choose to end their life. At the hands of the Canadian government, who facilitate this and who even encourage it. They sell this as a noble idea, but it's not. In my opinion, this is Canada's way of getting rid of the weak, because they have an overcrowded medical system that they can no longer keep up with. They give free health care to all, yet there are so many people who need health care that the Canadian government and the medical system cannot keep up. So what's the best alternative? Let's just get rid of the weak ones. Let's just get rid of anybody and everybody who thinks they might want to end their life. Now, the MAiD program won't come out and say this. They won't say, oh, everybody's eligible. But then you find websites like this that gives Canadians a clear path to becoming eligible. So let's read together. It's called VSED and VSPEC. In Canada, the law restricts who may have MAiD. This means that there are patients who are not eligible, even though they may want to hasten death to end their suffering. This would include patients who have a mental illness as their sole underlying medical condition and patients who are at risk of losing the capacity to give consent immediately before provision of MAiD but are not eligible to complete the final consent waiver. So those individuals can opt to VSED or to voluntary stop eating and drinking, to starve themselves, or to stop personal care as an alternative to MAiD or as a path to MAiD. As a path. You're reading that, right? So I want to be very clear what's happening here. There are people who may want to take advantage of this program, who want to end their lives, but they don't fully qualify. They don't have an illness or a condition that ensures that they are going to pass away. So instead of the government saying, okay, let's continue to care for you, let's help you get better, let's help cure your mental illness, let's give you pain management for your back issues or your hip pain that make it difficult for you to walk. Let's get you the right rehabs that you need. Instead of doing that, they say, well, if you want to pass away, that's totally fine with us. Here's how you can do it. Since you don't qualify, all you have to do is starve yourself until you're on the verge of death, and then you can qualify. Then put in your application. Because, of course, if you're not going to eat or drink, of course you're going to pass away. You're going to starve to death. I'm going to give you the raw, unfiltered version of what I think is happening here. Like I said, I'm sick, so I'm just going to get straight to the point. The Canadian government has done such a poor job managing their country that they're now in a situation where they can't keep up with their citizens' medical needs, their housing needs. So they give them this option as an easy way out, as the noble option, the respectable option, for those who might just want to check out. Just imagine this situation, which is a lot more common than what you may think, of someone who has debilitating back pain. They don't know the issue, but they've got an appointment to see a specialist in 18 months. That's the reality for a lot of Canadians. 18 months to see a specialist. But in the meantime, they can't work, so they lose their job. They lose their job, so now they're on the verge of losing their home. So what do? If they have family, maybe they think, well, I can become a burden onto my family. Maybe they don't have any family. Maybe they don't want to become a burden. And they say, well, I'm going to lose my house at the end of this month. So instead of doing that, I might just do this. I might just check out. Maybe it is the right thing to do. I'm not going to get any help for my back for at least the next 2 years. I can't work. Maybe this is my only option. That's the reality. That's what I see. Maybe if you're Canadian, you can tell me, maybe if you have a different perspective, I'd love to hear it. But this is what I see. And let's not get started on the fact that now it's being branched to children. They have a term for children called mature minors. They've differentiated between minors and mature minors. So now minors who are deemed by their doctor as being mature enough to make adult decisions can make these decisions for themselves without parental consent if they're over the age of 15. So imagine this scenario. You have your 16-year-old teenage child who's dealing with some mental health issues, and they decide with their underdeveloped brain to make the decision that they want to check out too. And their doctor deems them a mature minor, and they can make this decision for themselves. They don't have to get parental consent. So your child just decides to check out, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is what I see when I read between the lines of, this is the noble option. This is a respectable option. This is mercy. This is us showing mercy to the Canadian people. Read between the lines of what's really happening. Listen, this is a heavy topic. I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, especially if you are a Canadian citizen. I would also love to hear your thoughts, your opinions. Maybe I've got it all wrong, but this is just what I see when I look at this program and how it's being expanded. And guess what, guys? It's even expanded to the States. We can talk about that in another video when I'm feeling a little better. But if you stuck around with me this long, I truly appreciate it. I know my voice is not the most pleasant to hear right now, so if you're still here, thank you so much. And subscribe if you like.
Good morning. Is this Dr. Nutter's office? Yes, I would like to cancel an appointment that was made for me 18 months ago. There were MRIs, CT scans, blood tests. Yes, I won't be needing that anymore. And no, there's no need to reschedule it. I just didn't want to leave you hanging. I always cancel appointments if I can't be there. And could you pass that on to somebody still breathing? Thank you, dear.